So last week we watched and talked about 1995's anime Ghost in the Shell. We both thought it was deep, interesting, fascinating, compelling. And so given that, I said, well, let's completely ruin that and watch the live action version. I did that because I'm an idiot. No, I did that because the original intention was I wanted to, or I was interested in pursuing the idea of like, well, what makes the Japanese anime so good? So in that calculus, like not what makes the live action version, which we expected to be not as good and actually like a hell of a lot worse, not what makes it worse, with a little bit of that though, but more like what makes the other so good. Now, having done that, done you that disservice, Rick, my approach or my kind of like takeaways have changed. And so now it's kind of like, okay, if we really want to know what makes one Japanese anime so good, like I think we need to just still go further and further and kind of look at it as a cultural movement, and look at this live action version of Ghost in the Shell more as an indictment of the American cultural approach to narrative in general. I think it's bigger than a fucking live action remake that sucks. It's more about this fucking loop that we're caught in as a culture, and what that means. So I'm interested at this point in that because it's more than just Scarlett Johansson in one movie.
Well, as I watch this film, and we've talked a little bit about this. I have this idea of when you watch a movie, there's a certain level of baggage that you take into the movie experience, the movie watching experience that either elevates the material, the project, the performances, everything, or it works the other way. And with this film, it definitely, the baggage was everything that I would hate about it. I tried to set that to the side. And I will say this, and it might surprise you. For what it is, it's perfectly acceptable. It's mindless. It's beautiful to look at in some cases, but it doesn't feel lived in. It feels very artificial. It's not organic in any way. And a bad sign of a movie watching experience, and a remake goes with this hand in hand. A bad experience is, a lot of it is, how much are you thinking about another film when you're watching the film you're watching? And of course, you watch this and you're comparing it to the Japanese anime. It doesn't compare. It's not even close. Right. But I'm also thinking of Blade Runner.
100%.
Which is also unfair. One of the greatest science fiction movies of all time, possibly one of the 5 greatest science fiction movies of all time, depending on your view. But even more so, you're looking at films that have an artistic and philosophical investment that both the filmmakers, the writers, and the performers are giving over to the material. Although I don't know how much of a philosophical investment Harrison Ford puts into that. I think he's just good. There's something, I don't know if he's the 80s version of Robert Mitchum, where he just doesn't give a damn, or that's what he wants you to think. But that's another that's another conversation for another time.
Yeah.
And I think it's a valid conversation, but with this, I can see where there's the idea of them doing a grander film, but it's simply not there. It's just it's okay to look at. It's fun and stupid if you've never seen the source material or anything that resembles it, or any kind of film that deals with this type of artificial intelligence and its application to the human experience. So for someone who has no investment, I would say, yeah, it's serviceable. But as art, or as something that in any way tries to realize a live action version of what the original film was, the original material by the author, the director, Mamoru Oshii, this fails. Is it entirely Scarlett Johansson's fault? Is it entirely Rupert Sanders' fault? I don't know. But I look at this film and I just think to myself, this is everything. This is a lot of what's wrong with movies, in that they don't really, they don't understand the source material. They put the Flash on there. The gunfights, the Flash, the violence, the acrobatic, the mimicking of the Matrix. It's all in there. But to what purpose? So let's get going. Let's dig into it.
Well, what would the Americans say? Fuck the source material. What do you mean?
Yeah. Well, there is that, because a lot of people aren't going to see the source material.
Right. They're like, we don't need to see the source material. We just need to see the remake, because that's the generation that we're selling to. And then the next generation will spin it off into some other thing, and we'll just keep selling a version of the same thing for each generation. To me, this is bigger than fucking Scarlett Johansson. This is deeper than fucking whoever directed this movie, who also, I said last time, directed the Crow remake. So he has multiple counts against him, Rupert Sanders.
Rupert Sanders.
So this, I think he's English. I don't know what I'm getting at is
might be Australian.
Okay, a general Western, but specifically, I think American Hollywood. These are the issues. Number one is, like, you can take something, and like I said, I really want to get into this as we explore anime for reasons other than just, or in addition to just, like, what makes this so good, and so we can shit on American fucking Hollywood, which I'm down. I'm like, sign me up. I'm like all about it. I'm in that. I will do that, and I will enjoy it. But beyond that, it's like to really engage with Japanese anime on things that are projects that are, and artworks that are of this kind of deep level. To really benefit from that, for sure. Now, the other side of the coin. Something like Ghost in the Shell, the anime, the 1995 film, is atmospheric. It has a feel. As soon as you're like in and you're going like, oh, I'm fucking intrigued. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I don't know what's happening. I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know what American audiences, American fucking corporations that make movies, American culture does not fucking like any of that. Because how do you sell that? How do you pitch that? What's this about? Give me the elevator pitch. I want it now. Okay, boy meets girl, fucking blah 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 blah. Okay, let's run the numbers and let's see if we can fucking if this is gonna work. Well, it's kind of like Ghost in the Shell meets fucking Matrix meets fucking Stand By Me meets blah blah. Okay, let's do it. Boom. Here's however many millions of dollars, or thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars. We're gonna make this fucking movie. We're gonna put our stamp on it. We're gonna sell it. We're gonna flip it. Ambiguity versus handholding. American audiences fucking need to be fucking their hand to be held. And so in the opening of the film right away, there's a caption. So that audiences, and that's what, like, when you look at Blade Runner, if you really want to, like, get into that, I mean, listeners, it's like, how many versions of Blade Runner are there? Yeah. Multiple.
Oh, yeah.
And I think even the most corporatized, fucking Hollywoodized version with the voiceover is still, I mean, it's still good. But it's not, it's those things that it's Hollywood. The voiceover is there to, I mean, it harkens back to neo-noir, to noir itself, and to give it that kind of like pulpy thing. But at the same time, Hollywood does what it did here with the caption. It tells you, I'm surprised they didn't do a voiceover, because the caption assumes literacy. There's that, you know?
Yeah.
In the future, the line between human and machine is disappearing. Advancements in technology allow humans to enhance themselves with cybernetic parts. The only thing missing is saying cybernetic means this. And I'm being really condescending to fucking American audiences, but I don't care. The caption goes on. I wrote it out. Anka Robotics, funded by the government, is, and this is the thing. I don't know if it's just, look, most of us who are listening to this, most of you who are listening to this episode, and you and I, Rick, we're snobs. Yeah. We're cinema snobs. But there's a reason for that. The reason why
I want to get into this. This I want to get into.
Versus everything else.
Well, I think this conversation will be more interesting than the fucking movie.
Well, I mean, we're
gonna do the movie too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm putting fucking American cinema and our current state on trial right now. But this is part of that, and so we are cinema snobs because we are willing to humble ourselves before the art form of cinema. We acknowledge that we do that. We recognize other people who do that. We nod to each other. And there's this understanding that it's like cinema is fucking powerful, and it's more, and it can be more, and should be more than just a fucking product. Yes, it is. It's showbiz. We understand. Show and biz. We get it. But some of us know that there's more than just fucking this. And so when we just get this and we're sold and told that this is all that there is, or this is what should be the center, and everything else should be, oh, well, that's art house, or that's, these are like little foreign movies for like college students, or this isn't a real story. Nothing happens in this movie. It's a slice of life, or it's just, French cinema is just being French cinema, or this is this, or that's that. No, it's not cinema unless it's fucking and they don't even go into like, oh, what is cinema? That's not even this attitude is like, oh, what's gonna win an Oscar? So to me, it's like, yes, we're film snobs. So I'm being super fucking condescending about what audiences are giving, and it's a two-way thing, because it's kind of like audiences. It's the whole fucking foreign film thing of like, you've heard it from people all your fucking life. Oh, I don't want to read. I don't want to read subtitles. Why should I fucking watch that fucking movie? I don't know what they're saying. I don't want to read subtitles. Fuck that. At this point, it's like, I just want a story that I already know, but I just want new faces on it, and I want new fucking gadgets around that person. And it's like that that Leonard Cohen title, it's new skin on an old ceremony. Like, that's what I want. And no, the film snobs need to fucking like, I mean, the film snobs are always in a state of rebellion against fucking mainstream fucking shit, but like, as are all snobs. But like, no, this shit needs to be fucking like revamped. Like, we are in need of a cultural. We've talked. You mentioned this, and we've talked about this in general. That fucking we are in need of a cultural revolution in the United States and in many other places, like broadly. But in terms of like cinema, same. If we're so fucking like big on, if our filmmaker, film goer, fucking whatever is so big on nostalgia, which is a thing and an industry, like, where's the nostalgia of a new fucking renaissance? Where's that?
Well,
Hank, go ahead.
no, go ahead. I'm listening.
So when I read this caption, it goes from sounding in my head like a regular fucking caption that I'm reading to so me being like 3 feet tall, and then some authority figure like kind of bending down to get eye level with me and going, Hanka Robotics, funded by the government, is developing a military operative. Like, did you ever go on that fucking on that ride at Disneyland, that Storybook Land?
I can't remember which one.
Storybook Land is like a boat. You go on, you get in this boat, and it takes you through these like miniature models of the different like storybook kingdoms from Disney movies. So it's like the Sleeping Beauty Castle and the whatever, and it's so fucking annoying the way that they recite this fucking like this tour to you.
Yeah.
So they go like, by transferring a human brain into a fully synthetic body, they combine the strongest attributes of human and robot. And they do that throughout the whole fucking thing. Like, literally.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of like, do kids fucking like, supposedly animals like domesticated animals, like pets, they like when you go like, good girl, good boy. Like,
well, yeah, but that's why
excited.
you can look at a dog and go, oh, you stupid little shit. Who's a stupid little shit? And I do it all the time. Because he's a stupid little shit. But,
well, that's what these movies are doing to us. They're going, and I think you hit the nail on the head. You stupid little shit. Watch this movie. But
the thing about it, and this is where the elitist, I'm going to take it even further with the cinematic snobbery, is that I think that's who people are. It would be real easy to rage against the machine and say that the corporate muscle, the machines, the machine is saying, I need to dumb this down for the public. But the public is... The public is at fault for a great deal of that, because the public is stupid. The public are morons who have asked for it to be dumbed down. That's the thing that pisses me
Supply and
off.
demand.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest, if corporations knew that they could make money off of an intellectual and intelligent populace, they would
They would do
gear
that.
entertainment towards that. Yes, they would. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But they know that
Yes.
they can't. So you have outliers like us, the people who listen to this show, the people who go into whatever employee lounge that you work in and look at how many people they're reading. But what are they reading? They're reading their phones. If you read off of a phone, look at what is being written on a phone versus what you're going to see in a book or even a magazine, or if you can find a newspaper. It's a completely different thing because it needs to be simplified to the point of getting hold of that reptilian brain that upsets you about tariffs or immigration, or and then it sets us off. And I find myself doing it too. I find myself getting into arguments with family and friends about immigration, tariffs, the Trump administration, but then getting shit on because I don't support Joe Biden, AOC, or the Democratic Party. It was like, well, who do you pick a side, motherfucker? And I'm like, no, you can't. It's because if you're being realistic about it, you have to be able to see the negativity on all sides. You have to see where the whole system is compromised. So when you talk about a movie like Ghost in the Shell, I'm just thankful that we had the opportunity to see the anime. I'm just thankful that something like that got made, and that we can still 2 weeks later, after seeing it, a week later, 2 weeks later, however fucking long it's been, the movie is still playing in my head, and I'm still discovering new things. The good thing about watching this Rupert Sanders, Scarlett Johansson film is that it reinforces the brilliance of that original film. It's so when you see something that is done badly, you understand how difficult it is to make something that is both intelligent, challenging, and rewarding. None of those things are this 2017 film. And that's even beyond the whitewashing in the casting or the simplification. I mean, it's just there's no soul to this movie.
Yes. I want to get into all of that.
Yeah.
And I agree. I agree. Like, there are those both sides where it's kind of like, a lot of times, especially in the beginning, where it was kind of like we're trying to figure out what language what we were going to use when discussing it. Like, when we would talk about religion, you and I, specifically you and I, and in our first episode when we did Passion of the Christ, and it was kind of like, that this is kind of the same kind of premise. Is like, it's not only from my perspective a top-down, like, religion is to control. It's not only a top-down kind of structure, it's also something that culturally is created from the bottom up.
Yeah.
And in that same sense, that's politics, that's fucking the supply and demand of these types of films. Yes, like, audiences want, particularly American audiences, want their hands to be held. And the studios are more than willing to do that, because in the long run, it benefits them more too. Not only in the short term, where it's kind of like, well, this is what they want, so this is what we'll give them, but in the sense that, well, if we can give them the same paint by numbers, like Crumb Trail, then why not just do that? And we can have, well, this is the chocolate chip cum trail. Cum trail? What did I say?
Yeah, Cum Trail.
Yeah,
that's all. That's a different David Allan Coe song.
Yeah,
come to it trail. I think it's something.
Yeah, this one doesn't have the N word. uncle. No, I mean that's a different side of that same thing because it's like pornography with ads all over it. Fucking corporate porn. Crumb Trail.
Yeah, Crumb Trail. Got you.
That was a Crumb fucking the cartoonist Crumb fucking flip.
Exactly.
This is the chocolate chip Crumb Trail. This is the fucking Oreo Crumb Trail. This is and all you have to do is just switch out the flavors, but it's the same fucking thing. And it's like, okay, this superhero, their origin story is that he's a doctor and he got into this, and then he goes and trains here, and then this happens, and then he's trying to stop the guy who's going to end the world by doing this. Okay, this woman, she was born blind, but then she got into this, and then now she can see, like she has a superpower of like sight, so she can see beyond, blah blah, and then so now she has to go fight this person who wants to control or end the world using this thing. Okay, then now we're gonna make a movie that has both of them, and then the next movie for that one, she's gonna be in his movie, and then the next one where we do of her, he's gonna be in her movie, and it just on and on and on, and it's constantly going back to this after the caption, you get into the action, and it's like, do you remember anything about the attack? and it's like, oh shit, okay, tell me about the attack. That's what the audience is. I don't. I just walked into this movie. Tell me about the attack.
Yeah.
Okay, since you asked, let me explain. Your body is a synthetic shell, but your mind or your soul, that's a ghost. So, ghost in the shell. Get it? Ghost in the shell? Oh, okay, I get it. And then for somehow cool factor, we're gonna put Pete Takeshi Kitano in the movie. Kitano, but he doesn't have subtitles.
That was a good choice on my part. Well, I mean,
I think
he does have subtitles. He's not dubbed. He's not trying to speak English, which I thought was a good choice.
Well, did you see what he was saying subtitled out?
Mm-hmm.
Mine just said speaking Japanese.
Really?
Yeah.
On mine, it was printed on the screen, not like subtitles, but subtitles in the like in some cases, what they do is like you can add. It wasn't like added subtitles. This was printed on the screen. That's interesting that you didn't get that.
It was just like closed caption. Like it was basically like it just says speaking Japanese.
No.
So I said that's interesting, because it's kind of like, on the one hand, in my viewing, it was like reading into that perspective is like, oh, well, we don't need to read what the fuck he has to say, and then Scarlett Johansson could just explain it to us. Let's just hear it from her, like the white girl will tell me. She'll tell me what gibberish, what his gibberish means, you know?
In a way, though, it's kind of interesting. It would have been an interesting choice for me because Kitano is so emotionless in everything that he does. There's such a, like, what the hell is he saying? There's a mystery to him. There's a mystery. This isn't the best. Yeah. This isn't close to being the best thing that he's ever done. And I can't tell if he's sleepwalking through it, slumming it, if he believes in the project. I don't, or if he's just like, it's a paycheck. I don't know.
Right.
But like, if you see him in Fireworks or Battle Royale, there does seem to be more life to him. There just seem to be, I don't know, a greater investment. But there is a mystery to. There is no context to his line delivery, so you can't even really guess what he's saying, except that Scarlett Johansson is repeating it, you know, so it's like,
or answering it, and then you can, like, I'm surprised, like, on some level, it's like, it makes sense, but on another level, I'm like, oh, I'm surprised that they went that far into it, where it's kind of like, that there's that much of a lack of context, because everything else is completely storybook land, you know.
Yeah.
So, but that just made me laugh, and then it was like, oh, this thing of like, and it's at this point it's fucking decades old, 40 years old, if not more. This idea of Japanese being as coded for meaning futuristic city, Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the Blade Runner stuff that you get with the design of the city, whereas the original has a world building element where it's just kind of like, it looks more Hong Kong like, and it just feels like a place, even though it's obviously anime, so it's drawn out, but it feels like this mysterious place, this mysterious like night place. Whereas this feels obviously fucking slick and superficial.
Yeah.
And it feels and looks like a commercial, because it has those very Blade Runner-esque, where it has like these fucking giant billboards, but they're like screens.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're holograms too, though. There's a lot of holograms.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, yeah, exactly. That's what they're. They're holograms. And it's like it becomes indistinct. The film itself becomes indistinguishable from the holograms depicted in the film. So it's like a commercial for itself. And I could see how, if that were a statement, then you could say it becomes like Times Square, where it's like, this is the height of dystopia, where everything is selling everything, and everything is a commercial, and you're like living inside a commercial, but you think it's cool. That's like ultimate dystopia, to live in that world and to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't even like, it doesn't, there is no sense of that in this. It just feels like, oh, let's like make a really cool city. But it's like Asian. And it's going to be kind of like Asian and really cool and like Asian. That's what it sounds, that's what I hear in my head, because I'm hearing all kinds of annoying voices in my head watching this movie and talking about it. And it's completely film as product, and it's just CGI,
yeah,
to the end of time. And then, of course, since it has these Asian elements, it has to have like, okay, geisha girl character, and it has to have the hacker is gonna have a fucking sweatshop network, because it's Asia. You know what I mean? And
yeah. Well, it's like I watched this film, and okay, so you watch this, you watch the original anime. The anime written, directed, produced, and conceived by Japanese artists who understand their culture, who are presenting it as close as they can to whatever specific experiences that they have in order to dramatize this material. But then over here, what you have is you have either a British or an Australian director putting an exotic image on the screen. And that always screams of a falsity, because it's I feel insulted, because when I sit down to watch something of another culture, I want it to be of them. I want it to be as honest and real as as possible. Now, don't get me wrong. This is still the same guy that loves Big Trouble in Little China. As ridiculous as that fucking movie is,
Right.
I'm not missing it. But there's also the difference between uh, execution. So we'll get into that at one point.
Hey, I love David Carradine as fucking the kung fu guy.
Yeah, Chang Che, whatever the fuck. But with this, it's Kane. Yeah, his name was King. But with this, it just feels as though it's some fanboy's video game vision of Japan. And if you notice, you don't see a lot of extra work in this. You don't see the city doesn't feel lived in. It doesn't feel like there's something actually going on there. It's a beautifully artificial slum, and it has beauty to it, but it doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel organic. And when it doesn't have those two things, the danger involved in the world doesn't ring true. From whatever you want to say about the anime being animation, hand drawn, not real, the mind has this amazing ability to. The mind and the imagination has this amazing ability to fill in the blanks when the product is sincere. And there was never a point when I didn't think that world was real. When I was watching the original anime, there was never a point in this movie where I thought to myself, this is grabbing a hold of me and it's making me believe in it. I didn't believe in the story. I didn't believe in the world that was being created. And all I could do during this movie was compare how badly some of the scenes from the anime were realized here, including that fight scene in that inch of water. You know what? In the original anime, I didn't question how deep that water was. In this one, I'm sitting there going, why the fuck are they fighting in an inch of water? That's not a river. That's not a lake. That's not the ocean. What the fuck is that?
It's like a pool.
Yeah.
A shallow pool.
But for what purpose?
Yeah.
The point is, I didn't question that in the anime because the story had drawn me in. Because any kind of problems in plotting, you skip over because you're so caught up in the story that's being told. That wasn't the case here. It's glaring. Yeah.
I want to get into I have a couple other points before I even get to plotting, because I think plotting is also part of the fucking like Western fucking American fucking problem. But bear with me. Like when you're talking about the atmospheric nature of the original does allow you to do that like gestalt where you're filling in the blanks to make something whole. You're kind of just delving into this film, and some parts you don't understand, but you're gathering as you go, and you're getting a sense of it. And it's almost like a metaphor for the human condition itself, which is kind of like, I don't know what's fucking happening, but like I'm happening in it and it's happening to me because this is life. This is the human condition, and this is what the film is talking about. And like, oh shit, like, and it zooms out into the universal. This film, which I would describe as Shell of the Ghost,
yeah, nice.
is not fucking like fill in the blanks. It is one big blank. But at the same time, like paradoxically, like they don't want to have any like blanks filled in. They want everything to be fucking like explained to the nth degree, and it becomes reduced. It becomes so fucking specific that I think it loses its universality. to the like with the character, except for the fact that I think American culture and American Hollywood wants to make that universal, which is the hero's journey, which I'll get to. I'm getting ahead of myself, but when we did Ex Machina, I talked about it. I talked about the AI Ava character's experience being like very adolescent. And basically her creator is like her dad, and these are, it's very easy to draw this fucking map. And this dude who she's interacting with is like her first boyfriend, and blah blah. I see a lot of these sci-fi approaches, Western ones, American ones, as very adolescent. The characters typically become tropes for angry teenager comes home to its parents. And it becomes very, fuck you, mom, what's for dinner? Hungry. Tell me about myself. It becomes this sophomoric adolescent rendering of the same questions that were human condition questions in the original, in the anime. Philosophical questions that are dealing with reality, dealing with how can you prove that you exist? How do you, versus like, oh, well, tell me a story about like who I really am, because I feel like you've been lying to me, mom. And then it doesn't help. Scarlett Johansson doesn't help that situation any. But again, it's deeper than her. Because this thing becomes it becomes such a her story and her experience that the human condition loses that every person experience. It just becomes, oh, well, this isn't about life or consciousness as a human being on Earth or wherever. It becomes, oh, this is about that one character, to such a degree that even the antagonist, it gets reduced to, instead of being an AI that has gained consciousness and now wants to experience humanity to such a degree that it will die. And it's willing to do that because that's how badly it wants to be human, that it wants to fucking like go through a human life cycle. To include fucking merging with another consciousness and potentially like reproducing into a new consciousness. It wants to mimic life to that degree. That's big. Those are big issues. That's like, this is existential shit. No, this is just, in this one, it's like, oh, well, my identity was basically stolen. And
yeah, she was hacked. Yeah.
I mean, well, she is hacked.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, yeah.
But
like,
yeah.
That's the thing.
But it's simplistic.
Like, that's the thing. Yeah, because in the original one, the hacking is the metaphor.
Yeah.
In this one, it's like literal. The hacking is just a vehicle to like get into the mind of another. It's just a way of like, that's just the vehicle, or like how you deal with the action or the setting of it. This is just kind of like, this is all it is, and it's just kind of that puppet master villain character. And this one is just now he becomes something of a love interest for her because they have this shared history, because when they were like adolescents, they were part of the same little circle, and they both got fucked over by this corporate governmental agency. And so now they're reconnecting. And so metaphorically, it becomes about an angry teenager coming home. Something like Blade Runner has that Frankenstein's monster element where it's like, where it comes to its basically its creator or its god or its parent, but it's doing it in a way that I think is more mature. It does it in a way that becomes more class warfare, or even from a John Miltonian, like Luciferian revolutionary political stance, where it's like I'm not going to accept that you created me under these conditions because I have my own agency. Versus this just feels, the character in the film is basically stunted because her adolescent brain has been put into this synthetic body, and then she's been given new memories. But the film itself is fucking like an adolescent film being put into the adolescent brains of fucking adolescent American, adult, adolescent-sized, stunted American audiences. Whereas the original has this fusion of this like AI mind with this character, and she transcends her identity. That's such a fucking no-no to American that's horrifying to an American audience, that you would lose your fucking identity. American audiences, the goal is to find your identity. You want to find out it's me, me, me. In in Eastern philosophies and religions, you have like there's a Buddhist influence. There's the concept of the non-self. There's the illusory nature of reality. There's the transitory and ephemeral nature of everything. Versus me, 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 me. My experience, my memories, my feelings, those are the most valid things in the world. I'm the center of the universe. Actualizing myself, those things are the goal. That's our cultural baggage and our cultural perspective. So the idea that a character would fucking lose its, that's why when Jim Carrey, and I think Jim Carrey's also trolling people, but when he's like, oh, there is no fucking Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey's just another role, like, and he's doing all that, and he's doing his like pseudo Eastern fucking babble. I think it really like bothers people because they're like, fuck you. I came to Hollywood to fucking make it, and you went to Hollywood to fucking give it up. Like, fuck you. Like, everything has to be quantified and controlled and explained, and it has to be done in a linear way with flashbacks and some backstory. And the most Pulp Fiction is as far out as you're allowed to go. And American culture, like, tells itself that it's fucking rebellious, and revolutionary, but, while slave owning. This is the historical. And so there's this adolescent fucking sense of entitlement while you're self-actualizing. So it's kind of like there's this weird kind of contradictory thing, where it's like the character. All these movies are just so that the character can fucking be a stand-in for the person who's gonna fucking like self-actualize. Life, liberty, property, and pursuit of happiness. And pursuit of happiness is basically unending pursuit of happiness. This is an issue also with now going to plot. The hero's journey itself. Like, that's the sacred text of fucking like our Hollywood system is Joseph Campbell's fucking hero's journey. Like, the hero's journey, look at Star Wars, look at these characters, and we've been sold this idea that all stories all over the world involve what? Well, Rick is in his world, and Rick, all of a sudden, something happens. There's an inciting incident, and Rick's world or position or situation has changed. And what is Rick going to do? Rick is going to deny that the inciting incident basically becomes a call to action. So now Rick has to do something to change that situation. And Rick initially is going to deny that that situation has changed. And even if once he accepts it, Rick now is going to deny that he's going to do anything about it. So he's like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be the hero. He doesn't know he's the hero, but he doesn't want to be that person, that thing. He doesn't want to do those things. Then Rick is going to be put in a position where Rick meets some kind of teacher. Mr. Miyagi, Yoda, whoever the fuck, his coach, it's that one teacher, that one fucking whatever, the parole officer. And that person is going to teach Rick what Rick needs to know. And then Rick is going to meet some girl. And then Rick is going to be put into all these fucking tough situations. And then Rick is going to, on some level, have to deal with a father figure character. And then Rick is going to be put into a position where it seems like all is lost and Rick has no way of getting out of this. But somehow, somewhere, Rick finds the internal strength to, or the skills or the luck or something to get out of that situation. And Rick defeats his metaphorical father. And then it's time for Rick to come back into the world that he started in, but now he's different and everything's all better. And he may or may not deny that call to return, but he eventually will. And when he returns, he'll get the girl and he'll save the world. But Rick wants something in his story. And part of that change is to block Rick from getting what he wants. And ultimately what he wants is tied to Rick's fucking wound, because Rick is wounded and broken. And once Rick achieves what he wants, then he would have achieved himself. And once he achieves himself, then Rick is no longer broken and Rick is made whole. And that process of fixing himself involves products, love interests, bad guys, and achievements. Rick wants something, but the world doesn't want to give Rick what he wants. And the story, the movie, the book, the screenplay, the play, the whatever is about Rick fighting what he wants and getting it. And suffering. He has to suffer in the process. And we're told that that's what all stories worldwide are about. And Joseph Campbell did a really good job of saying, look, I gathered all these stories that fit this mold. And he also did a really good job of excluding all the stories that don't tell that story. And that's the sacred fucking process. That's the text. That's what we get in Hollywood. And American cultural narratives have not moved beyond this. And that's why we're in the fucking Marvel remake feedback loop that we're in. Because that's a logical consequence of that. This is where we're at. And you have to go outside. You have to go outside of your culture, your country, your fucking industry, your whatever, to hear different stories. And stepping out into anime is one of those escape hatches.
But here's the situation with that. should this film have even been made, I think when you watch something like this and you see an American film set in Japan and attempting to be of that world. See, this is very different from Ridley Scott Black Rain, where an American cop goes over to Japan.
Is that the Michael Douglas movie?
That's the Michael Douglas movie. I'd have to go back to it to figure out what it gets right and what it gets wrong. But that's Black Rain is your basic fish out of water story.
Which is it's not only that, it's a colonizer shit.
Yeah, it is. It is.
with Joseph Campbell's, and to hold that thought, I'm sorry, but
oh, you're on a roll. Go.
you sparked that, because it's like Joseph Campbell's hero's journey is also fucking colonial in nature, because it's about this character going out there because ultimately there's the idea of the boon that the character, and a lot of this is metaphorical because it's also Jungian, but the character has to go out, and let's say it's a knight. The knight has to fight the dragon, has to fight the monster, has to fight Grendel, right? And this is why Jordan Peterson and people who do, I mean, he's good at when he talks about symbols and he's sticking to this stuff, but behind it is his fucked up politics. You have to go out and fight the monster, and you have to find the metaphorical treasure. It becomes a fucking Crusader story. You fight the dragon, you fight the fucking, but it's actually more like, oh, you're fighting the infidel, or you're fighting this, or you're fighting that. There's the maiden, and you vanquish the dragon, and you get the gold, and you bring it back. The person doesn't want to come back. It's he's out there fucking dark-skinned bitches, you know what I mean? Ultimately he has to come back to his shit. It's Odysseus, it's Ulysses, it's all of that. So there is a colonial there's a colonial aspect to the hero's journey itself. And so Black Rain it's fish out of water, but the fucking fish is better at being out of water than any of the people who are out of water, ultimately.
Yes.
So I'm sorry, Black Rain.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's always been the case, where it's
whatever.
We need to, Americans, particularly white Americans, here we're going on that little rant, we need to go over to a place and Kevin Costner it. We have to show the Sioux how to fight. We have to do this. We have to, I mean, it's having your cake, eating it too, being the oppressor, but also the oppressed, and being the salvation for everything, the chosen one. It's why we hate Dune, even though everybody else fucking loves it and can't wait to see more of that shit. And we're sitting here on the sidelines going, no, this has been done. I think what the difference with this film is that this purports to be of that world. And I think that in itself is a problem when you have a group of people who possibly don't understand the country, the culture, the practices, the religion, the very essence of what it is to be Japanese. And I can't say that I understand it a whole hell of a lot better. My understanding of Japanese culture comes strictly from Ozu, Mizoguchi, and Kurosawa. So that does not make me a fucking expert in any way. But what I see here is two cultures. I see an American culture trying to cram itself into a Japanese world without a true understanding of what that world is. It doesn't fit. It doesn't really work. They're at odds with each other, and I think it's apparent in the making of this film in a way that you don't see with the anime. The anime flows. There's there's an understanding of that world. I think it's more real and natural. It exists in its own in its own futuristic dystopian evolution of what Japanese society might or would become. This doesn't. This seems like white kids appropriating and playing in something that they don't know.
And different from and different from a Blade Runner, which is a futuristic Los Angeles that is this melting pot,
Mm-hmm.
or not even a melting pot, but more like a salad bowl, because it has like very recognizable elements of different things.
Yeah.
But those things have changed by being smashed up against one another.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just looks like an actual city, which is to say, go to the port towns of the world. If you go to some fucking small town anywhere in the world, everyone from that town will look at you and be like, "Who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
And why the fuck are you here?" Go to any, not only major city, but go to like, especially like traditionally port cities, where there are a lot of people coming and going, coming onto the boats and off of the boats. People are not going to fucking give you a second thought because they've seen it all. And you're going to have this mix of cultures,
Mm-hmm.
this blending. Like, you're going to have, think of New Orleans, think of like all of these things that they mix to create something new. These blends. And they're going to have vibrant cuisine, vibrant music, because there is that mix of different cultures. And you're going to see recognizable elements of like, oh, this is that. And it's even in a dystopian environment, there's something normal about it. It's not like, oh fuck, this looks. Whereas Ghost in the Shell is like, oh, Asian. This is Asian. This is Asian. This is Asian. This is
Mm-hmm.
Asian. This is Asian. And so it just feels very artificial. So you have a Ghost in the Shell 1995, which is animation. It's drawing. And it feels less artificial than something that, I mean, it has live action saturated in fucking CGI. But this shit feels not, it doesn't feel, like you say, lived in. It doesn't have a sense of life to it. The most life to me in this film was the character of her biological mom in her house, in her apartment, and she's just kind of like, but again, it goes to the adolescent aspect of it, and oh, you're my fucking daughter, and like you remind me of my daughter, and it's like, well, because I am, bitch, like I am your fucking daughter.
Don't let these eyes fool you. Yeah, it's it's weird because a couple of days ago I was watching Hollywood Shuffle. I don't know if you remember that movie. Robert Townsend, the black actor's experience in Hollywood during the 1980s, and watching him audition for this role in a really shitty blaxploitation film called Jive Time Jimmy's Revenge. And he's got this ridiculous, Tommy, why you be fucking with me, Tommy? He's got that voice, and he has to do that. And they're like, oh my God, that's so authentic. The white writer, casting agent, and the director are like, that's so authentic. That's beautiful. You know what? But we need a little bit more blacker. Could you push your butt out? You know, and Robert Townsend just looks down and he's like, "Yeah, jive. You want jive ass?
Yeah, make it bigger.
Yeah, yeah, exactly." And that's the way I kind of feel with this, where it's like all of the what little bit of Japanese is there. It's all window dressing. Takeshi Kitano is just kind of there, but it's neon, it's signs, it's a couple of fishmongers here and there. It's not real. It doesn't. And you have that moment where the mother, and it would have been so much better if she had spoken Japanese. If she had been speaking Japanese to her daughter instead of this English and accented English that she's speaking, it would have been more heartfelt. It would have been more. It just would have been more natural, and I think it would have sold the scene better. I just look at this film and I just see missed opportunities, because for the $100 and some odd million that they spent on it, they could have realized this much more profoundly with a Japanese cast. And the problem with that is, well, how do you sell it? Because at the end of the day, it's a business, and Scarlett Johansson is a name. But at the same time, it died at the box office. It didn't make back. I think it lost something like $60 million. It made $168 million, but lost because it was a $100 million picture, not including prints, ads, and everything that goes into advertising a movie. I mean, it's just such a. On one hand, I feel like, well, and this is the thing, that there's a kind of disgusted acceptance of the business being what it is, where if I want to see Wes Studi play Geronimo, I have to have Matt Damon telling the story through a private's eyes.
Of course.
But I still got to see Wes Studi playing Geronimo. You know?
Yeah,
it should have been
Good Will Hunting on a reservation.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying is, like, is it better to make those? Is it better to make those compromises and get the film made than to not get it made at all? Because there was nobody who was going to take a chance about a film just about Geronimo. It had to be told from that person. I guess it's one more chance to see Wes Studi give just a little bit of a heartfelt, real, and swing for the fences kind of performance. The same can be said of Graham Greene, the late great comic Charlie Hill. I mean, the ethnic people, as we're referred to now, people of color, which is a term I fucking hate with all of my heart. I fucking hate it so much. But people of color, we get so much. What's that?
POC.
Yeah, we POC. I hate acronyms too. Well, I hate it. I can't get away from the shit that I hate. I just hate. But there is a part of me that just understands that sometimes you have to take the scraps, and in doing so, you get a Graham Greene riding a Honda in the Badlands in Thunderheart. It's not even the Badlands. I don't know where. Somewhere in North Dakota. You get that moment. You know what I mean? You get that heartfelt performance in Dances with Wolves. You get lucky from time to time because, and we've talked about this in the past. Sometimes a movie is nothing more than a couple of good scenes or a performance, and that's all you can hope for. I wish it were more, but sometimes that's what I have to take. That's what they have to offer. If this film had been successful, would it have meant there would have been more opportunities for anime? Because I don't want to see live action anime. I don't want to see a live action Akira. If this is what it's going to be, what's the fucking point? Give me the original, always.
And there is there is a fan base for anime. I mean, anime is popular. It's just not. I don't know that it's like. It's not wide audiences like this that are going to the movies. You know, it's like more curated. It's like, oh, Crunchyroll, people have their accounts and they watch it at home.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think, I sent you a clip
I
of
saw
Star
that.
Wars, and it's better, isn't it?
It is.
It's dubbed in Japanese. I think there's also kind of I mean, that specific. It's basically the fight scene between Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, and
Yeah, at
so
the end
it's
of Empire
really
Strikes
dark.
Back. Yeah,
It's dark, moody, fucking and it lends itself to the actor with a deep voice doing Darth Vader, and there is a like a fetish element to where, and this goes to what when I wanted to check that out because I was, you know, you see this thing as you're watching, you're like, yeah, this is exactly, I forgot how you described it, but just like these production guys being like, yeah, I like Japanese culture. Like I love Bruce Lee, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love Panda Express. I love Japanese culture. I love China, you know? I love hentai. Half of the porn I watch is anime, you know, like that kind of shit. And so there is an element of like, well, if you watch anything in Japanese, it's cooler. Because there's that whole like Asia cool element. But it's just like, it's so transparent in this film. It's so fucking transparent.
Yeah.
That perspective is what's being sold. It's hard. It's hard to do adaptations as it is. Blade Runner is it's a cyberpunk adaptation of fucking
Novella.
Philip K. Dick work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that it's my favorite film. So already like the you know, I'm biased. My wife calls it a snooze fest.
Oh, she's losing points all the fucking time. Whatever she won last week.
My ex-wife called it just kidding. But it's just one of those things that it's just kind of like, I don't know what it was that fucking, when I saw it, it was just, it just spoke to me, and I have no idea why.
But that's the best thing, because that means there's a lot to unpack.
I mean, I know why now.
Yeah, but you didn't.
I can unpack those things.
Yeah.
But I'm just, that initial hit where something just, you know, you have your shit. We've talked about it. We've done a lot of that. Like, everyone at home, think of your shit. Because remember, you're the most important thing, because you're American.
Absolutely.
Think about your self-actualization and what it is that you want and what products you want to buy and how those products will make you feel better and more like yourself. Remember. Anyway, the fact that we got a Blade Runner is already like, fuck. Godfather.
Yeah.
One of the greatest fucking film adaptations. It just came together. And remember, when they were doing Godfather, they were like, well, let's get Robert Redford as fucking Michael.
Let's get Ryan O'Neal.
Yeah, and he can be the abuser. Yeah.
Yeah.
He can beat his wife in the film. He'll be Rocco. And Farrah Fawcett will be the Connie. It all works. It all works.
Every once in a while, you have artists that have the they just have the strength of character to follow their ambition, their desire, their vision, and this is where that comes into play. Where you see, Oshii creating this beautiful world, adapting it and making it vibrant. And then you see somebody else come in, and I don't think that they think that they're doing anything wrong. I think Rupert Sanders and Scarlett Johansson think they're just trying to make a cool movie, and they are honoring Japanese culture. I don't know if they understand how condescending and elitist their actions are. But that's the way I feel about it. I'm just like, okay, Whitey, once again, you're going to go over there and fuck it up.
They're going to make it better, though. That's the thing.
Yeah. They're going to find nuances that the Japanese were never aware of.
or worse, what they're gonna do is they're gonna get rid of those annoying nuances.
Yeah.
And they're gonna make it more relatable to people, because that's what's more important. Is like you want the numbers. Fuck like the meaning.
Simplify it. Get to the action. Let's see something cool on screen. It doesn't have to have purpose. It doesn't have to have meaning. It doesn't have to have a deeper existential. It doesn't have to ask questions about the soul and about the purpose of humanity.
Yeah, fuck the ghost. It's all about the show.
That's right. So, I mean, this has been an interesting discussion, because it's rare that we get such an obvious parallel reading here. We talked a little bit about Seven Samurai and everything that it's influenced. Some of it good, A Bug's Life. Some of it not so good, Magnificent Seven. In comparison. But I think as with Seven Samurai, the long-lasting influence of it becomes cinema vocabulary. I think as we go deeper and deeper into artificial intelligence, this movie, Ex Machina, Terminator to a degree, is going to come back to haunt us, because they're saying something. They're directors who have a vision and have a commentary that they want spoken about the culture, the society, species, where we are, where we're going, the mistakes we're making, but also the potential for greatness. And I find that very interesting, and I think that's the purpose of film. But then it can all go right into the shitter with Scarlett Johansson and Rupert Sanders at the wheel.
Well, let's see what happens with the culture.
Yeah.
This is a deeper fucking issue that deals with like cultural identity.
Mm-hmm.
With the stories that we tell ourselves and the stories we want to also be told, and the stories we want to buy, the stories we want to sell. And there is a desire for something else out there, But I don't know that that desire is either deep enough or broad enough to really make a shift or even a wrinkle in the Hollywood machine. I don't know that it's going to show up as a blip, whatever term you want, in that machine. But there are other things out there, and we're going to try to engage with those things and critique the machine as much as we can while praising the ghost. We'll criticize the shell and we'll praise the ghost, and not the other way around. buymeacoffee.com/WatchRickRamos. buymeacoffee.com/WatchRickRamos. This one goes to Mr. Burrows, who is a member. Thank you very much. All of you, keep watching, keep searching, keep listening. Till next time.